Final Destination Bloodlines dropped in cinemas on May 15th, 2025 here in Australia. This was a 14-year gap, closed after the release of Final Destination 5 back in 2011. A consistent series for the most part, usually only waiting 3 years apiece for each sequel to be released. Now, I didn't watch Bloodlines in cinemas. However, it would seem I am not in the majority, as it became the highest grossing installment in franchise history, earning over $285 million worldwide. Now, with that said, if you'd like to see my thoughts on Bloodline, go follow my Letterbox account at Ninch Movies. I'll supply the link in the description below. It's the easiest way to keep tabs on films that I may not talk about on the channel. However, after enjoying the revisit into the series, it dawned upon me there was a sore thumb amongst the bunch. A singular Final Destination film I had yet to watch. This coming in the form of Final Destination 4, with other titles such as Final Destination 3D, always a bad sign, but that will be addressed later, and The Final Destination. I'm sure there was intentions at one stage or another for this to be the true case, being the final film in the series. However, if you love your horror films and your movie IP continues to make money, sequels, prequels, reboots, they're always going to be on the cards. It's fascinating to me that I never watched this particular film, as the poster for the film is the most iconic in my memory. This shattered glass skull imagery was everywhere when I was growing up. Contrary to belief, as I am known as the VHS collector, I did collect Blu-rays for years on years. I've also watched movie collectors for years. Shout out to the Wet Movie Ones, Cool Duders, Flick Picks, that have been holding it down for years. However, when you are a collector watching collectors for so many years, you will always see formats come and go. The 3D Blu-ray collectors. Nothing but respect, collecting something you are passionate about. I just have never truly enjoyed a movie that was released with the sole purpose of being 3D advanced. The plot and the deaths, in the case of this film, always seem to take a backseat to the, oh wow, that's in your face, you like that shit? It's so limiting, especially in the year 2009. The technology isn't there yet, so I'll always sway towards a 2D experience. That rant aside, this is universally reviewed on Imdb as the worst in the franchise. Boasting a 5.1 out of 10, don't let that hinder. That money was definitely made. A $40 million budget turned into a $186 million worldwide gross. This was a series that worldwide made people fear big log trucks the same way Steven Spielberg had the world shook over great white sharks. Yet this movie suffers from uninspiring deaths. Say what you will about 5 and even Bloodlines, as the reliance on CGI deaths being so over the top and gore-filled. However, I always enjoyed that 5 was more of a comedic sort of approach, at least a comedic watch for me personally. The gymnast scene had me genuinely gritting my teeth on my first viewing, not knowing which way the death was going to go. IMDb describes The Final Destination as a horrifying premonition saves a young man and his friends from death during a racetrack accident, but fates await them nonetheless. Standard? Right. However, maybe it's my lack of care for car racing. Maybe it's the fact that once again, in 2009, a 3D-based horror film could never thrive as a successful kill watch, which is what these movies are made for. The kill watch. The deaths were so straightforward and quick that it lacked the suspense of previous and even future installments. The movie also suffers from acting that of an old packet of chips left out on the bench for days. It's just disappointing considering that at one stage they were going to close the book on this, the weakest entry of the series. This overall is a guilty pleasure series as is. Horror in terms of gore and concept, but never frightening, just an interesting concept. I felt that this movie also repeated itself time and time again, way more notably than any other in the series. When it got to the movie theater experience, Premonitions, I was just beyond over it. Truly felt like they needed to expand the scenes to be considered a feature-length film. The movie only comes in at an hour and 22 minutes. Considering the hour mark is criteria to be considered a feature-length film, I just can't make excuses for it, honestly. The script must have been so goddamn weak. I wouldn't be surprised if they George Lucas this whole project and wrote scenes on the way to shooting. I felt compelled to share my opinions on this film for the simple fact, in my mind, it was the most advertised in the series. I went 16 years without witnessing this mess just to be left with the feeling, why? Why did they make this? Not a single memorable death, racist tensions for no real reason other than a character to hate, tension that leads to weak-ass special effects. I mean, man, that salon scene is the biggest insult of them all. Hair straighteners burning, scissors, fans loose, all for a quick gunshot, pebble to the eye. Like, give me a break with this shit. I'ma just lay it all on the line here and say, for my take personally, 2 and 5, they reign supreme as the best in the series, with 1 and 3 and Bloodlines all equal, and 4 stinking like pure cow manure. This is the Ninja Movies. I appreciate you checking this video out. Please let me know your thoughts on the Final Destination series down below. Subscribe to stay up to date with future movie related videos, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.